Good morning. My name is Anita and I am from Summer Daze Pools and Inspections. I'm here this morning with Dave, our local building pest and pool safety inspector as well. So I just thought we'd share a couple of little, tidbits and questions and hopefully educate everybody on how awesome Dave is and what services he can provide you in your home. Dave, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Awesome.
Very welcome. So I'm just going to shoot right into it. So as a novice myself, do you have any tips for someone who is looking at buying a home? It's a big purchase. Obviously, there's lots of things that you can't always see because there's not everything's on the surface. What do you recommend, Dave?
So there's a few things people should consider when they're looking at buying a property. One is that whether the type of property they're going to buy is going to be suitable for their needs. So I'd recommend, if I was buying a property, I'd write a list down of what I need. So do I need parking for 2 cars or 3 cars? Do I need garaging for any of those vehicles for security reasons? How many kids do I have? How many bedrooms do I need to accommodate that? So if you've got 2 kids, yourself, your husband or wife and 2 kids, you'd probably want 4 bedrooms. You don't want to just limit yourself for expansion. So there's a lot of things to consider there. Locality, is it close to the schools, going to be suitable for you? Proximity to your work as well. So all of these things that are a priority, I would write down as a list. So when I'm looking for a home, I might find a home that's a nice home, but it doesn't meet the criteria. So it's about trying not to be too emotional until you get to the point where, okay, we're in the right location and it's ticking the boxes that you need ticked. Then it makes it a bit easier for you to then make smart choices of where you want to be and what type of home you want to buy.
That definitely makes sense. So I guess that ties into my next question is, what issues should I be looking for when I'm out viewing my dream home to make sure it is the dream or it's not a lemon kind of thing? What would I be looking for?
Yeah, look, definitely if I'm looking at a home as a buyer, I'm looking for any signs of any structural movement. So any cracks in the external walls. Is there any areas around the home where it looks like the water's going to pool up against the house or run underneath the subfloor? I'm probably looking inside. I'd look inside cupboards just to see if there's any moisture damage inside cupboards, any stain marks on ceilings or walls. These are the sort of visual things that you can look at, as an individual looking at buying a home. So there are sometimes defects that are very difficult to find, but and that's why we have building inspectors. But they're the sort of things that I'd be looking for if I was looking at a home. Yeah.
Okay. And do you often find that defects aren't easily visible? Like I know that you said to open the cupboard doors and have a look to see if there's been any water damage or a little bit of staining, things that obviously I can go and do myself when looking at a home. But what kind of defects aren't easily visible? How would I know, or is it still best to call you and get you to come out and have a look? How can I do this?
Well, it's always better to get a building inspector to do the inspection because with their experience, they know what to look for and how to find those problems. So some of the problems that we find that aren't usually visible. So timber pest damage, we can quite often find that where it's not visible. We tap around the skirtings and you will find that there's a soft bit of skirting and it's related to pest damage or something like that. There might be some decay in a few places that the paint looks okay on the outside. Sometimes we can pick that up, sometimes we can't. It depends on how good the paint job is. But usually if it's got a little bit of deformed surface, we'll pick up on it straight away that it's got a little bit of decay there, where most people would just scan past that and not even notice it. There's other issues, like we obviously get into the roof space and under the subfloor where most people don't go when they're just looking for property to buy the property. So then we've got the opportunity to pick up any defects there, see any condition of the roof from the under side of the roof, see if there's any damage to any of the rafters up in the roof space. So we're basically accessing parts of the home where a buyer wouldn't access. The other thing that we do, and I do this with every single inspection that I do a walkthrough with a thermal camera. And one of the reasons I do that is you could have a leak in your roof and someone's repainted a ceiling, or it's only a recent leak and it's only a minor leak. Our thermal camera, if there's any moisture in that ceiling, will pick up the difference in temperature between the ceiling around it and where the moisture is, because moisture will show up as a cold patch on the ceiling. And the same with termites. If there's an active termite nest in a wall, the thermal camera will show up a warmer signature in that area. So there's a few different things that we have at our disposal to locate these things. A moisture meter for the walls to the showers, which is a really huge one. That's quite often where we find there's a shower tray failure or some other type of leak. In kitchen cupboards or vanities, the braided lines that connect your tap to your mains pressure water. If you look in your cabinet,
Yep.
Little braided line. Sometimes they'll rust, and when they rust over time, you'll get a pinhole in it, and it'll start to leak. And if you're not aware of it or you don't pick up on it, it could deteriorate your vanity to the point where you need to replace it, just because of a $5 hose. So. Some of those things I sort of recommend people to look at for general maintenance of their property every year anyway. And certainly if anyone wants any handy tips on that, certainly sing out. Yeah.
Oh gosh, you make everything sound so thorough. It's very overwhelming. If I was to ever go and buy a home, I'd make sure you're there with me for sure. You'd be like, you go sort it out and have a look and make sure that I'm okay. In saying that, my last question for you, what would you recommend to someone who is buying a home? I can't keep you in my pocket and bring you out when I need, the home looked at. What would you recommend to someone?
Look, always use a building inspector, preferably someone with extensive experience in the building industry, someone that you can relate to, someone that is happy to help you and talk to you and work through the issues that are found, and that's obviously you're confident is going to do a thorough job. A conveyancer, you need a really good conveyancer. Make sure you check around. If people want to contact me, certainly I can provide them with people that I'm happy to recommend, and I would only ever recommend someone that I trust and that I would use. But certainly your building and pest guy and your conveyancer are the two main ones. If there's a pool on site, make sure that they do have a pool safety certificate. It's always a good idea to enforce that on the seller rather than the buyer having to get it later on if they submit a form to prevent them having to get one themselves. Yeah. You don't really want to buy a home and buy someone else's problems, so try and get some of those things covered. And certainly I do pool safety inspections, as you do pool safety inspections, but my business is really focused on the building and pest. The pool safety inspection component, I really do that as a bit of an add-on to just help our clients.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. So just to recap, building and pest inspector and conveyancer are the two most important things. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Dave. You've definitely given everybody a good insight and as to how much help you can be and how supportive you are throughout the whole process. You have most definitely made it less scary, I will say that, because I can, I guess, be a little overwhelmed. So thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. Thanks, Dave.
That's okay, no problem at all. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.
Okay, have a great day.